We are living through what some researchers are calling a sex recession because Gen Z is not banging as much as previous generations. Research says that if you are between the ages of 18 and 29, you are twice as likely to experience sexual inactivity, and 25% of you didn't have sex all last year. And now I want to talk about the three main reasons for this: fear, the internet, and mental health. So let's start with fear. What's interesting is that Gen Z isn't less interested in sex. In fact, surveys show that a lot of them feel ashamed or anxious for not having sex. What's stopping them from doing it is the fear of being unsafe, fear of being judged, and fear of not getting proper consent. And that makes sense when you consider that Gen Z was literally coming of age at the height of the Me Too movement. When you're that age, pop culture kind of runs your life. Celebrities, news cycles, viral hashtags, that's where you learn what's quote unquote normal. So imagine being a teenager during this time when every headline was about who got exposed, canceled, or arrested. Now, touching someone's shoulder can instantly spiral into classmates joking that you groped somebody. Even if it's a joke, it plants the seed that everyone is watching. Everyone is hyper aware, and one wrong move could ruin you. They've seen endless stories of people getting hurt, manipulated, or shamed, so intimacy doesn't feel like a fun thing you just do. It feels like a minefield because the risk and reward is greatly skewed in their minds. Even if they want sex, the idea of making the wrong move is enough to make them freeze, especially if you're a dude. So Gen Z is afraid to have sex because they link sex to danger or guilt. A little tangent, but when I was doing research on this topic, I was kind of surprised to learn these things about Gen Z having less sex. I'm 30, so I basically saw Gen Z grow up right after me, and I always saw them as the sex positive generation. For them, nothing was taboo, they kind of just put it all out there. I mean, are they not the OnlyFans generation? And that's why this next point really drove it home for me, because I didn't get these ideas about Gen Z from my real life experiences, I learned them on the internet. And the second reason Gen Z isn't having as much sex is because they are internet babies. This is the first generation to live fully online, and that's where a lot of intimacy gets outsourced. Porn creates unrealistic expectations about performance and bodies. Social media fuels comparisons and body image issues. You guys remember the whole hashtag fake body thing, right? Digital communities offer safe identity exploration, but it also makes face-to-face connection feel awkward or scary. Like, how often do furries actually meet up? Researchers today point out that young adults spend far less time socializing in person. In 2010, people in their 20s were hanging out with their friends at least 12 hours a week. By 2019, the number dropped to barely 6 hours. And that was before COVID hit. Less time around real people means fewer relationships. Fewer relationships means less sex. It's that simple. And not to mention that the internet fuels the ongoing gender wars. It seems like every month there's a new reason that men and women hate each other. So I know that that is at least hurting heterosexual intimacy a little bit. But let's talk about the final reason that Gen Z is in a sex recession: mental health. A study in pediatrics shows that antidepressant prescriptions for young people rose 66% between 2016 and 2022. After COVID, that rate grew almost 64% faster than before. This number was especially higher for young women. That means you've got a whole generation already struggling with anxiety and depression, and another thing on top of that is many antidepressants lower your libido. They literally reduce sexual desire. So it's not just fear, it's not just less social time. Biologically, mentally, emotionally, everything is pushing intimacy further away for Gen Z. So what does all of this mean? It means that this sex recession isn't about sex at all. It's about a generation trying to protect themselves in a world that feels unstable, unsafe, and overwhelming. Gen Z isn't rejecting intimacy, they're delaying it, waiting for safer options, clearer trust, better mental health, on top of the fact that they know they probably can't afford to have kids, so they don't even want to risk it. And if you're someone who's watching this and feeling like you're broken because you're not having sex, you're not broken. You're living through some of the toughest conditions for intimacy in modern history. So please do not measure yourself against other people's experiences. Focus on building trust, building confidence, and taking care of your mental health. Because sex isn't about numbers, it's about connection, and connection can't be rushed. But that's it for me, guys. Let me know what you guys think about the sex recession in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Shogun!